Good morning, and welcome to you all for the meeting of ACM AGM. First of all, I would like to say why should one belong to a professional society? So it is actually a gathering of like-minded people. So there are a lot of professional societies. This is for computer science. In Sri Lanka too, we have Computer Society of Sri Lanka and BCS, British Computer Society Sri Lanka chapter. So you can belong to one of them. And what is the particular motivation for you to join a professional society? There are several. Usually Sri Lankan people ask, what do I get from becoming a member? Usually, for the students, for example, it allows you to develop your skills for later use. That is one of the prime motivations for one to join a professional society. So when you are an undergraduate, you can demonstrate your skills, you can do extracurricular activities through the society and get those into your CV. So that is one idea. On the other hand, the papers, the conference papers and the journal papers will help you immensely if you proceed on higher studies. On the other hand, through professional societies, if you have a local branch or local chapter like the student, distinguished speakers visiting us, actually not in these COVID times, but in normal times, we can ask them to visit free of charge. So the society, the main society will bear the cost. So there are so many advantages like that. On the other hand, in the UCSC, we have already a IEEE Computer Society section or chapter, as well as the newly set up ACM student chapter. So you can belong to either one of them or both. It doesn't matter. But I must emphasize that ACM is the natural parent society, professional society for computing people. IEEE is the Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers. Its prime motivation is to serve engineers. But there is, of course, a substantial computer section chapter there. Definitely, we can't deny that. But ACM, Association for Computing Machinery, is the prime computing society professional chapter. On the other hand, if you look at the achievements made by people in the computing domain, say for example, if you take for scientific domain, the prize, as you know, is given by the Nobel. It's the Nobel Prize. Computing, it is actually the Turing Award awarded by the ACM. Are the groundbreaking researchers in computing discipline. If you just go to the ACM website and check who are the Turing Award winners for the past 10 or 20 years, you will see the groundbreaking names. So that is one motivation for you to be a member of the ACM. And the other thing is, I must say, I have noted a few things down here. The typical student fee is about $19. So it is not much, but for certain people, it can be a big money. In that case, I suggest that the UCSC, the UCSC looks into reimbursing the amount of money for membership, for student membership, for the students who are unable to pay from their own. I think that would be a great incentive to many to join the ACM. And the other motivation, as we have seen, you have no takers for the IOI to conduct it locally. Actually, it is one of the motivating factors for A-level students to come into the computing discipline. So I think you have done a great service by keeping the momentum of going this IOI in a successful manner. So I think that is a very good thing. And as far as undergraduates are concerned, as I think I mentioned it in the last AGM, when this was resurrected, there are international program contests. So I think even though it was part of the ACM some time back, I think it is till 2015, it is no more a part of ACM, but it is an independent activity, ICTC, International Collegiate Programming Contest. Once you are stable enough within the domain, in the chapter, you should also look into participating in the programming contest. I must also say that the UCSC academics must also look into taking the undergraduates' active participation in such contests into their GPA contribution or whatever. Because I have seen at Imperial London, in all 3 years or 4 years of their undergraduate study, they have an extracurricular activity known as programming competition training. So if the student participate in programming competitions, the worthwhile ones, not some hackathons or whatever, worthwhile ones like the ICPC, they will automatically earn some credit. I think the academics of the UCSC should also look into that aspect. That means, as undergraduates in computing, you can maintain your skills, develop algorithmic skills, thinking skills, and even win some prizes. But of course, at the moment, I think that programming contest prizes are mostly won by the Chinese or the Russians. Even the US or Europeans cannot reach those heights. So I think I have covered most of the things what I wanted to say on joining the ACM. I think I wish the new committee members all the best in maintaining the momentum generated by the newly set up ACM student chapter. Thank you very much.
The main project of the ACM student chapter was organizing the National Olympiad in Informatics program in Sri Lanka. The National Olympiad in Informatics is organized to recognize exceptional secondary school students, train, guide, and support them to participate in the International Olympiad in Informatics. The National Olympiad in Informatics program is organized with the collaboration of 3 committees, namely the Scientific Committee, Organizing Committee, and the Executive Advisory Committee. The ACM student chapter of UCSC took the role of the Organizing Committee in 2019, and we have been able to organize the competition in 2019 and 2020. In the year 2019, the ACM student chapter organized several promotional campaigns to raise awareness among secondary school students, teachers, and parents. In the latter part of 2018, while we were taking steps to revive the ACM student chapter, came the first program organized by the members, who later on became to be the members of the ACM student chapter. It was an exhibition stall at the Infotel 2018 exhibition held in the BMICH. Starting off with the exhibition stall, we went on to organize awareness campaigns in schools and educational zones to introduce the NOI program to school students. We organized 4 such campaigns. For students in the Ananda College, Colombo, for students in the Kuliapiti Educational Zone, for students in the Kurunagala Educational Zone, and for students in the Vallavai Educational Zone. Over 200 students took part in each of the workshops held targeting the educational zones. With the support of the Scientific Committee, we hosted a virtual learning environment for the students, comprising introductory programming courses, introductory algorithmic thinking courses, and many more. Amidst the chaotic situation in Sri Lanka due to Easter attacks, with the support of the Executive Committee of NOI, we were able to host training programs and the competitions at the Ministry of Education, Isrupaya Battaramulla. The best performing contestants from the NRI 2019 two-day final round were given a fully sponsored trip to Azerbaijan to take part in the International Olympiad in Informatics 2019. NRI 2020 Initialization Workshop, along with the awarding ceremony for NRI 2019, was held in January 2020 at Professor V.K. Samaranayake Memorial Auditorium. Preparations for NOI 2020 were made in the latter part of 2019, and we hosted a stall at the Infotel 2019 exhibition held in the BMICH to promote the event. With the support of the NOI Scientific Committee, we hosted virtual contests every month from February to July to help students to practice for NOI 2020. A parallel mentorship program was conducted where members of the ACM student chapter mentored students with learning to code in C++. In August 2020, we hosted an online qualifier round for NOI 2020, followed by a two-day on-site final round held at UCSC premises. Careful precautions were taken to ensure the safety of everyone taking part in the final round. IOI 2020, which was scheduled to be held in Singapore, was conducted in a virtual manner because of the COVID-19 pandemic. While some countries dropped out of the IOI due to hardships in organizing the virtual event, we managed to host a virtual contest site in UCSC and gave the opportunity for talented Sri Lankan students to take part in the IOI 2020 contest. Another project initiated by the ACM student chapter is the Sports Programmers Portal for the UCSC undergraduates, which provides learning materials for competitive programming, notifies about virtual contests, and holds problem discussion meetings. We were able to achieve so much because of the members who contributed their time and efforts for the success of these projects. Thank you.
The revival of the ACM student chapter could be thought as a byproduct of the efforts put together by a set of volunteers to bring life to the Informatics Olympiad program. Back in 2018, with the demise of late Professor Gihan Wickramanayake, there was no one responsible anymore to organize the Olympiad program. And with the support of the administrative staff of UCSC, we managed to form a student body who would take care of organizing the Informatics Olympiad program. And this set of volunteers became the founding members of the newly revived ACM student chapter of UCSC. During the last 24 months, we managed to organize the Informatics Olympiad program twice, in the year 2019 and in the year 2020. The NY program spans over 9 months every year. Starting with the promotional campaign, it's followed by the training program, which comprises of self-learning as well as mentored courses for students to learn programming. Then we have practice contests to help the students gauge their ability against the other contestants and to polish their skills. Next, we have qualifier rounds to choose the finalists who would take part in the two-day final round of NOI. And at the final round of NOI, the best performing contestants are then selected to represent Sri Lanka at the International Olympiad in Informatics of the respective year. And in 2019, we managed to fully sponsor all 4 contestants who took part in IOI, which was held in Azerbaijan. This year, due to the corona pandemic, IOI was held as a virtual contest where the participants had to take part from within their own countries. So this year, we managed to host a contest site for the Sri Lankan delegation to take part in IOI. In 2019, we had around 400 students registered in the program, and in 2020, this grew to 600. And it must also be noted that in the year 2018, with just the past IOI contestants to organize the event, without the support of the ACM student chapter, we barely had any participants to take part in the National Olympiad program. Considering that, this is a huge improvement. And over the last 2 years, we've built quite an audience on social media channels as well. We have over 1,000 people following our social media channels. The training programs and the communication between the students and the organizers of the National Olympiad is conducted through a virtual learning management system called Moodle. And in this Moodle, we have a small community of student programmers built up, where some students post questions they get, and some set of students come up to answer for these things. It's a really small but great achievement of the ACM student chapter. Now, this chart shows the performance of the Sri Lankan delegates at IOI during the past 5 years. So the y-axis shows the relative rank, and although it's not much data, when you consider the last 3 years, the trend looks to be really promising. And I really believe that the involvement of the ACM student chapter in making awareness to the students and conducting this training and competitions, etc., that had a great impact on the gain in performance at IOI. Next, extending our objective, we took an initiative to build a culture that encourages competitive programming in UCSC. Right now, we have around 300 registrants in the Sport Programmers portal, and in the future, we hope to grow this culture into a culture that supports competitive programming among our UCSC undergraduates. We have planned 3 major projects for the coming term. The first being, of course, the National Olympiad in Informatics program. We hope to devise new methods to improve the performance of the contestants at NOI and to make more awareness among the students. The second project is the Sport Programmers portal of UCSC. We wish to make the Sport Programmers portal more interactive and build a more active community and come closer to the dream of building a culture within UCSC that supports and encourages competitive programming among students. Next is, like Dr. Nalin mentioned, we are trying to become a host of the International Collegiate Programming Contest. So, like he mentioned before, the ICPC is the largest contest out there for undergraduates in the domain of competitive programming. And every year, over 50,000 students take part in ICPC. Put into comparison, the IEEE Extreme competition, which is really popular in Sri Lanka, has around 10,000 students taking part every year. So this is 5 times, the participation base is 5 times larger. But for Sri Lanka, one of the major problems is none of the students take part in ICPC because there is no host for students to take part in. So if you wanted to take part in ICPC, you'd have to go abroad just to take part in the first round of ICPC. So with our term, we are trying to take steps to become a host of this prestigious competition and provide the opportunity for students, not just in UCSC, but all over our country, to experience this new contest.